It certainly was a tight one, as it usually is when the Stars and Blues get together, and the good guys get the extra point tonight at the AAC. Hey there, everybody. Welcome into another Spits and Suds postgame. I'm Gavin Spittle of 105.3 The Fan. Thank you so much for supporting us in December. And why do I have this excitement and energy in my voice? Because 2-1 is your final as Matt Duchene continues his amazing season, going nearly the length of the ice in overtime. Wow. We are seeing the true talent of Matt Duchene. Once again, we can't say it enough. What a pickup by Jim Nill. And the fact that Duchene wanted to come back here, wanted to be a Dallas Star, loves living here. It just makes you want to root for Matt Duchene. So he saw an opening and took it. A wonderful individual effort, cutting through two Blues defenders, including Justin Falk, who after the game said, I got to be better on that play. I knew what he was going to do, and he still was able to pull it off. He was able to curl in just enough past Falk to move the puck to his forehand. Got to go far side on Jordan Binnington, who is absolutely outstanding tonight. Man, if Jordan Binnington played the Stars, only the Stars, we'd be talking Jordan Binnington for the Vezina. He is so good. And when we talk about that Four Nations Cup, Jordan Binnington could be a factor for Team Canada. So he was absolutely wonderful tonight. This is a valuable 2 points because St. Louis under Jim Montgomery playing a lot better. And they've been closing in on that third spot in the Central. So although you didn't get that 4-point swing you like to have in the Central Division, they did pick up the extra point on them tonight. So I thought this was kind of a tighter game than the shot disparity showed. The Stars out shooting the Blues by more than a 2-1 margin, 37-16. But Jake Onger made some big saves late. I mean, 16 shots, not a lot of shots. But there was a good chance that the Blues would be leaving here with 2 points. And Jake Oettinger with some key late saves to take it into overtime. He was just solid tonight. Was not tested a lot, but you know what? Anytime your goalie just gives up one, you absolutely will take it. So I'm going to give you a few takeaways from tonight, and then we'll answer your Twitter X questions as we always do. You guys are so awesome about that. So let's start prior to the game with Doug Armstrong, the longtime former Stars GM, now Blues GM, pulling off a nice deal. The acquisition of Jim Montgomery as head coach and the recent play of the Blues kind of shifted them from a rebuilding team to, hey, let's become an early buyer. And why did they do this? For a couple of reasons. Cam Fowler, defenseman for the last 15 years with Anaheim, gets traded to St. Louis. So what does Cam Fowler bring to the table? He eats up a lot of minutes. In fact, if you look, Cam Fowler just arrived with St. Louis and he played 1757. How these NHL players can just get shifted to another city and then just play that night and pull off 18 minutes of time on ice. That's absolutely amazing. Like, hey, Cam Fowler, welcome to the team. Just be one of the leaders of time on ice. So that's pretty interesting. The other thing is that there's an added year to Cam Fowler. So when you think of the acquisition of Cam Fowler, you think of leadership. 15 years in the league, one of the leaders on Anaheim. And since Anaheim made that trade the other day for Jacob Trouba, that opened up the ability for them to trade Cam Fowler. So what did the Blues have to give up? And why is this interesting? Because this kind of sets the standard as far as a veteran defenseman. Remember, with 1 year remaining, it's not on an expiring contract, so he will be with the Blues if he doesn't get traded again for the 25-26 season. So the Blues traded a 2027 second-round pick and also a 22-year-old minor league defenseman, Jeremy Biakapatuka, to Anaheim for Fowler and a 2027 fourth-round pick. So Biakapatuka has played for the Florida Everblades, cup of coffee in the AHL. He's only 23, but really has not got to the AHL level. So not the highest of prospects that St. Louis is giving up. And so basically what it comes down to is a swap where St. Louis gives up a second round pick and then receives a fourth round pick in that same year. So basically they drop down 2 rounds to get 2 or a year and a half, essentially, or a year and 3/4 of Cam Fowler. Here's the other important aspect, too. The Ducks retaining 38.5% of Fowler's $6.5 million cap hit. So the Blues getting a little bit of cap relief help for Anaheim. The question becomes, from a Stars point of view, is Anaheim acquiring Trouba, departure of Fowler. Who else is up for grabs on this Anaheim roster? Obviously, they are up for wheeling and dealing right now. There are a couple nice pieces on that Anaheim, side that I wouldn't mind taking a look at as far as some offensive forward help. I don't really see anyone at this point defensively that the Stars would want. But what about a young guy like Mason McTavish, who's controllable? If you're going to give up some prospects, get a guy that's got some years left. That could be a fair contract. But the Stars, they have the LTIR space for that 1 year with the departure of Sagan, but then they have to worry about contracts like Wyatt Johnston, Jason Robertson in a couple of years. So Maverick Bork's up as far as a restricted free agent. I don't think that'll cost too much, but those are the things that Jim Nill has to decide. Jamie Benn's another one. So very, very interesting. Fowler was kind of mentioned as a name for Dallas, just thrown out there. Don't think it necessarily was serious as far as him coming to the Stars, but an interesting trade within the Central Division. Wanted to bring that up and discuss. The other thing is that the Stars made a slight adjustment on the power play tonight, and it worked. And I love that they're tinkering and trying new things. So what they did is Jason Robertson moves to what is called the bumper position. And the bumper position is really just the middle position on a power play. And why is that important? So the bumper position can open up, if successful, other positions on the ice, because teams then have to respect that. A lot of times they'll look at the tape and they'll overcompensate, and that will leave somebody else open for a one-timer. So what Jason Robertson did after some nifty puck movement, Robertson on a nice setup pass from Jamie Benn, got a real nice one-timer off past Binnington to tie the score at 1. And while Robertson didn't score on another power play, he did take another one-timer that sailed above Binnington, and you could just tell that he seemed to have some solid confidence tonight in that position, and I think that carried over to the rest of his play. Had a goal and an assist on the night. So a nice night for Jason Robertson. We certainly need more of those, but it would be amazing to see him going specifically on the power play. Lian Bischel, already a fan favorite, and you could see why. What a hit on Brayden Schenn, sending him into the Stars bench. What was amazing about this hit, I encourage you to go on Twitter X or just look online for Lian Bischel hit, is that he sent Schenn into the boards, not with the shoulder, but a push through with his left arm. So he didn't even turn. He basically just followed through with his arm, and that lifted Brayden Schenn. That lifted him off the ice and into the Stars bench. Imagine if he turns and moves up with his shoulder. That's how strong the 20-year-old is. And to me, what that does is message sent to other teams. And I think that's why you need to keep him in this lineup. So we look at 2 games, and we've noticed 2 things. One, Bischel joining the rush the other day for that lone goal. Nice wrist shot. So getting his first NHL goal. Tonight, we saw the hits. The other thing I want to talk about with Lian Bischel is the corner work. And I think this is something that the Stars need help on, specifically in their defensive zone. When we get to the playoffs, what do they say? Things get tight. Physicality is ramped up. What is Lian Bischel really good at? Creating space along the boards and separating players from the puck. That is going to be crucial come playoff time. and the physicality ramps up, well, you know what? If Lian Bischel's on the ice, you certainly are going to be aware of that, one, and you certainly are not going to necessarily hit their player. I understand what people are saying about modern analytics, and I understand what people are saying as far as physicality isn't the same factor. But then when you look at the Stanley Cup winners, and the Stars knocked off 2 of them last year, but what did Colorado do at the deadline before winning the Stanley Cup? They picked up Manson. They had Kadri. They became more physical. They picked up Devin Tays. They became a bigger, more physical team. Then you look at Vegas, who won the Stanley Cup. Then you look at Tampa, who won the Stanley Cup. Is it a coincidence that Pat Maroon was on that team? So you pick up these more physical pieces, and they tend to pay dividends in the playoffs. And I think Lian Bischel, the Stars are finding out, is one of those pieces that could carry over. Now, will they send him down eventually? You know, they might. But at the same time, these are valuable minutes for the Stars' top prospect. And he has not shown me in 2 games that he should be A, sent down, or B, scratched. So I would love to see Bischel continuing in this lineup. It's fun to watch him. I am so impressed with his skating ability. I mean, think about that. That's 6'5" without skates. And then he puts skates on and he has that kind of speed and ability. You look at him moving up ice. And you also see from game 1 to game 2 a calmness. And that's such a beautiful thing. Because, and I think while the Stars might not have been happy that he played in Sweden, the Swedish Professional Hockey League is a major league in the world. So is the AHL. And obviously, we all wanted Lian Bischel to get more accustomed to the North American game. But clearly playing in Sweden and being closer to his family and back home and in Europe, much easier to travel. I think that was really good for the youngster. So actually, I think it's good. And he obviously playing here in North America with Texas, quickly became acclimated to the game, playing a lot of minutes in the AHL, a lot of valuable minutes coming up here, and it's certainly paying off. So stick tap to the organization. I think it's played out well, and I'm really excited about Lian Bischel and what he brings to the table. Now, he will take penalties at times. That's what young players do, and that's what physical players do. They're going to miss hits every once in a while, or hit high, or something's going to happen. You saw in that first game, gets called for a slash. Probably Lian Bischel in a couple years gets smart enough to realize if the player gets knocked down, if he gets back up, you don't want to hit him again. So, those are going to be learned on the ice, but it's so much fun, this learning curve that we're all experiencing with the Stars prospect. All right. So Michael Moore asked, in a Western Conference that's loaded, this is a really good win. Really liking Oscar's game. He's talking about Oscar Bach. After all the talk of the Mav might be overlooked, a budding star. Oscar Bach has really fought hard to be up here. And talking with Steven Meserve, you know what? He's improved his game. Steven does an amazing job covering the Texas Stars. Just the improvement of Oscar's game and the fight and coming back after a kind of a tough injury for the AHL playoffs and immediately coming back and playing well. He has deserved this playing time. He has deserved to be on this roster, playing real well on that 4th line. Let's see. Really want to see Maverick, Ben, and Logan get some time together. Dodonov with the beauty line. Sam on the 4th line. Oscar, and also Colin Blackwood. I thought Colin Blackwood played really well. I personally am a big fan of Colin Blackwell. I think that he brings a lot to the table. I love his hustle. I love his grit. I know the puck's not necessarily going in, but it just seems like every game he makes something small happen. I know St. Louis scored on that power play, but Colin Blackwell without a stick making an unbelievable block. We do want to mention, as far as back, what was he involved in? It was the face-off dot. And the Stars were really effective tonight. In fact, that's one of the game stories. When you want to look at the analytics, the Stars winning faceoff 62.3% against 37.7% against the Blues. So that is really important. And then when you break it down even more as far as, okay, who was good on the dot? Lots and lots of Stars. Even though Bach was over 1 tonight, you look, Jamie Benn, 50% as he continues, 6 of 12 on the dot. Just continues to be an over 50% producer from there. And remember, face-off wins equal puck possession. Sam Steele, really, really good. 80% tonight, 4 of 5 face-offs, 3 of 3 in the offensive zone. So real nice night. Maverick Bork, 2 of 3, 7-11 for Rope Hentz, 10 of 15 for Wyatt Johnston, 13 of 19 for Matt Duchene. That's dominance in the face-off circle. So the Stars, that was one of the things. They were one of the tops in the league as far as face-off team percentage wins. So really, really good in the face-off circle. So that was one of the crucial points. Michael, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Happy holidays. Always appreciate you chiming in. Howie Hayes says that Bischel hit was exactly what we need in the playoffs. Absolutely. Also, thoughts of them moving Robertson into that bumper role? Well, it's going to happen. It is absolutely going to happen. And I like Robertson in that role a lot better than playing that other point position. I never thought that he had a strong enough shot, and he does get off a quick one-timer. So he is quick with his wrists. So I like that a lot in that bumper position. Thought that got him going. It certainly did get him going, Howie. And happy holidays to you out in Colorado. Appreciate all your dedication. Christopher DeHardy, happy holidays, Chris. What a goal in his debut and a SportsCenter worthy highlight of a check against St. Louis. And see what this is doing also. And I know this doesn't equate to wins or losses, but 2 out of the first 3 tweets we're mentioning are talking about a defenseman that's playing in his second NHL game. That gets people talking, and that's a beautiful thing. That's a marketable aspect for the Dallas Stars, and I think that's why you cannot trade Lian Bischel. He's NHL ready, and that's just a valuable piece because eventually he's going to move up to that second defense pairing, maybe even that first defense pairing. So imagine what he's doing, and you're already seeing the effect, and he's playing with multiple defensemen and doing it well. So he has already woven himself into this Stars team in just a short time. So Chris says, will we consider keeping Bischel in Dallas? Yes. I'm not sure how the sending down and calling up works, but will it be worth doing? Yes, they certainly can do it now. They have the funding under the LTIR. Finagling, Jim Nill does a good job of it. So yes, at this point they can. But they eventually will have to put Sagan on the LTIR. But right now, with the Dumba injury, they certainly do have that cap space to do that. Thank you, Matt Duchene, he says, for that OT goal, 2 points. Yeah, great individual effort for Matt Duchene. I can't speak enough about Matt Duchene. And like I said, his willingness and want to be here with his family. He's found a home. My God, I'd love to see Matt Duchene back here again. Why not? You're number 3. And I'm just happy for the individual. This is a guy who has traveled from city to city, thought he had a home in Nashville, bought a house, and then next thing you know, his world is upside down. We have to remember with Matt Duchene how long of a year it was, because Matt Duchene had 2 off-season surgeries last year. And then all of a sudden he has to uproot his family, sell his house, buy a house in Dallas, put his kids, make sure his wife and kids are situated. There was just a lot on Matt Duchene's plate. All he tried to do was fit in, and, he went through the motions, but admitted in his post-season final presser that, it got to him toward the end of the season and in the playoffs. It was exhausting. And we also have to remember, Matt Duchene had never been past the second round of the playoffs. So now he has that seasoning. Now he's got that taste, and I'm super excited for him for what he's doing this year, not only becoming a team leader, but flourishing. And they really need Matt Duchene to continue with Seguin out, because that Marchment, Seguin, Duchene line, remember, we were talking about that as a top 2 line in the NHL, not just with the Stars. So the fact that one of the biggest pieces, Seguin's out, and I still think they need to replace with a forward after watching the last few games, to me, it is very apparent that scoring is down. Very apparent that it is becoming more difficult for the Stars to have A1 scoring chances. And I think we're seeing what Tyler Seguin brought to the table. So that's why I think a trade needs to be made, and it needs to be made as far as getting someone offensive minded, someone that creates space, someone that needs to be accounted for on the ice. Fuzzy says, I have a whole case of Frosties to celebrate, my friend. Yeah, man, I'm coming over. I am out of Frosties right now. I need a good Frosty. So yeah, heck yeah, man. Leave the door open, Fuzz. Can't wait to see you. Steven, steady rhythms. You already knew this game would end 2-1 in OT. Yeah, Matt Duchene said that. He said in the post game that he told the boys in the locker room, boys, it's going to be 2-1. It's going to be a tight one. And the real question was who would come out on top. Steven says Ben is probably so excited that finally at the age of 35, someone else here has to be a jerk to opponents. He's talking about Bischel, and he got a front row seat. What a blast of a game. Yeah. I think Jamie Benn likes that aspect of the game. I just want everyone to take a breath and realize that mistakes will happen. Mistakes happen with Harley. We saw that. And now we're seeing Thomas Harley flourish as far as an offensive defenseman and playing pretty well on the defensive side as well. So it's going to happen, and we just have to deal with it. So really, really good tweet tonight, Stephen, and thank you so much for your comments, and happy holidays to you. So when you look at this Stars schedule the next week, we say this several times during the year, but I really think this next week is a interesting telltale, because you have the games at home, but on Monday you play the upstart Washington Capitals, who are the story of the NHL. They are absolutely playing amazing hockey. So you have the Capitals on Monday, which, by the way, it pains me that Jacob Chychrun's on that team. I want Jacob Chychrun so bad. And it is cool to see that Jacob Chychrun now is away from Ottawa and playing some really, really good hockey. I mean, Arizona to Ottawa to now Washington, and what a difference he's made. So the Capitals on Monday, a very good Maple Leafs team on Wednesday, and that follows Rangers Stars on Friday. So good chance we see Shesterkin on Friday. So this is going to be an interesting week. And then, prior to Christmas Eve on Monday, December 23rd, the boys are out as they take on Utah in Salt Lake. So Utah playing pretty well. David Castillo is going to knock me for that, he says I always mention Utah, and I guess I do. That's so funny. He always calls me out. And it's just because I predicted Utah was going to be one of those teams in the mix. I predicted it. And, right now it looks like Utah is in the mix. So we'll see. So we'll see how they pull it off. Just because I'm going to do a deep dive, and see, Utah with 40 shots on goal ends up beating San Jose by the score of 4-3. And that's a good reminder to check the standings and where the Stars stand. So it's going to be a tough week, and points will be at certainly a premium. Winnipeg back on top with 45 points. Minnesota 1 point behind. It's a really, really cool situation, because Winnipeg and Minnesota, I know we like to think that we are Minnesota's number one rival, but Minnesota and Winnipeg do not like each other. The cities go after each other. It's a real, real cool, kind of underrated rivalry. So the fact that they're top two fighting for first in the Central and the first position essentially in the Western Conference is kind of a good story. So Winnipeg's up by 1 on Minnesota, 45 points to 44 points. The Stars are at 36 points, and they are currently tied with the Avalanche, also at 36 points, and Utah is 3 points behind those guys in 5th place, and St. Louis is 2 points behind, with just gathering 1 point tonight at 31 point. If we did check out, and it's kind of weird to do at the quarter point, but if we check out the wild card, you would have Winnipeg, Minnesota, and Dallas as your top 3. So it would be a first round against the Minnesota Wild. In the Pacific, it would be Vegas, the Kings, and Edmonton. As Vegas is playing really good hockey, so is LA and Edmonton. By the way, Edmonton winners of 5 in a row, 8-2. The Kings 8-2. Vegas 7-2. So the Pacific is certainly heating up. Who would be your wild cards? Colorado, Vancouver, and Calgary right now, with Utah 2 points off. So, and Seattle 3 points off. So kind of interesting, obviously real tight, but we have not even reached the halfway point. So lots and lots and lots of time to go. Remember what St. Louis did a few years back. They were absolutely at the bottom. January 1st, they just go on this epic run, make the playoffs, and end up winning the Stanley Cup. What did Edmonton do last year? Made a coaching change. Knobloch comes in. January 1st hits. They just go on an absolute heater. They make it to the Stanley Cup final. Granted, lose to Florida, but what a season for Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. So if you're looking for a mark, that's coming up. Your second mark of the year. We have the trade deadline, obviously, in March, but at the same time, you kind of look at first at Thanksgiving where teams are. And then to me, the second mark is January 1st. And what has happened since Thanksgiving to January 1st, and what has changed. And the Stars look like they have been in that third position. It's going to be awfully tough to move up to that second or first, because Winnipeg and Minnesota has played so well, but you still have a lot of games left with those two teams. So games next week, that means a lot of Spits and Suds coming at you. Super excited as we make our way to the holiday break, but at the same time, we're having a great December, and that is because of you. The other thing I noticed is that several of you have gone online to Apple and given us great reviews. And I want to say thank you for that. That helps our search engine optimization. That moves us, what that means is moves us closer to the top as far as when you put in Stars Podcast, Spits and Suds gets higher and higher up. So not only are the downloads great, but it's also great when you leave a review, leave feedback. If you retweet us on Facebook or Twitter or any other social channels. I know there's a Dallas Stars Reddit channel. So if you can let people know that there's a Stars broadcast, if I go on there, it seems a little biased that I'm looking for this kind of stuff, what I'm really looking for. And you can certainly reach out to me on Twitter. But I'd love to know what programs you want to hear specifically. Is there a themed program? Do you want us to go more around the NHL at times? Would you like that? Would you like us to do more trade scenarios as far as the Stars are concerned? Do you like hearing from old players? What other players would you like? Would you like us to do more updates in Texas? So you come up with the themes. Would you like us to do a show on analytics and what analytics you should follow? So I try to think of different, unique kind of programs to do, and I'd love for you along the ride to give me suggestions. So Stars with a big win tonight. Great Saturday night at the barn. Everyone goes happy. Frosties are flowing. Absolutely love it. Want to give a stick tap to our producer, Gregory Finley. He's always awesome in the producer's channel. The program you hear that comes out is because of Gregory Finley, and he does a great job in the producer's chair. So thanks to everyone involved. I'm Gavin Spittle. We will talk to you soon with another episode of Spits and Suds. Have a great day, everyone.